okay? And muscles know how to do two things. They either contract or they relax. The heart is a system of two pumps that work in sequence with one another, even though they are positioned geographically, so to speak. They are positioned next to one another. So this is the front of the heart, right side, left side. And just imagine that the heart is a midline organ. It's in the middle of the chest.
Okay.
Imagine that the lungs are on its side, are the wings, okay? So the right side is the pump that takes in all the blood that arrives to the heart from the entire body and pumps that blood into this big blue hose, this blood vessel,
Okay.
that in turn sends the blood into the lungs. In the lungs, there is what we call the gas exchange. In other words, the oxygen, the good stuff, goes into the blood and loads the blood, while the waste gas is removed so we can breathe it out.
Oh, okay.
All right? That's what happens in the lungs.
Just learned that today. Okay.
So now the blood is fully loaded with oxygen, it's 100% loaded with oxygen, and that blood returns to the left side of the heart, to the left side of the pump, which is here on the left. And that pump sends the blood into this big red hose
Okay.
tube that is called the aorta.
Okay.
The aorta is like a distribution system of blood throughout the entire body because this blood vessel, as it moves on, gives up a number of branches, which in turn give up more branches, which eventually feed every nook and corner of the entire body with good blood, with blood that is rich in oxygen. Then the blood is delivered, and then, the oxygen is delivered, and then the blood finds its way through the veins back to the heart.
Okay.
And then the story starts over again, okay? The heart, as I was saying, is a muscle. And when the muscle contracts, pumps the blood. But then the muscle relaxes because that same heart has to fill with more blood for the next pumping. Because when you feel your pulses, and when Jessica checked you in, your heart was beating at 90 beats a minute, which is more or less average, okay? The heart has to fill with more blood for the next cycle, for the next ejection.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to show you the inside of the heart, and we're going to focus on the left side,
Okay.
because that's where the money is in your specific situation.
Okay.
So the pump is made up of two parts. Okay, there is like an upstairs where the blood gets to once it's crossed the lungs, and there is a downstairs which is the actual pump that when it squeezes, when it contracts, pushes the blood into this big vessel called the aorta.
Okay.
As I was saying, the blood is always supposed to move in a forward direction. Because if the blood goes backward, that's wrong. That's not how it is meant to be.
Right.
Okay? In other words, the normal physiology of the circulation of blood throughout the body is one of forward movement.
Okay.
Okay? In order to maintain this forward movement of blood, we have valves inside the heart. And these valves function like that door. They open in one direction and they shut off in the opposite direction.
Okay.
Okay? So once you get in here, the door is locked, you cannot get out. In other words, it's not a revolving door, so to speak.
Right.
Okay? So we have 4 valves inside the heart, 2 valves per pump. And I want to show you the ones on the left side because, again, this is the area of interest in your case. There is a valve that has all these strings attached, and that is the valve that is like the inlet. Is the valve that allows the movement of blood into the pump. Okay?
Okay.
This is the part of the heart that has the most muscle, that when it contracts, generates a pressure that sends the blood through this valve here, the aortic valve. That it's a little
So
bit
this
hidden.
goes in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And once the heart generates that pressure, that kind of springs that valve open, the aortic valve open, the blood goes out into the aorta. Okay? Once it's gone out, then the heart relaxes. In other words, the muscle
Right.
it has squeezed and now relaxes. So the blood pressure here drops, while the pressure here is much higher. And so that valve, the aortic valve, now shuts off, preventing the blood from going back into the heart.
Okay.
Okay, so the blood necessarily has to go forward. That's why I'm saying that these valves are trap doors. They open, you get out of here, and then you
Can't
shut
come back.
off, cannot come back.
Okay.
What's not working in your heart is that this aortic valve is not holding water. So and the reason why it's not holding water is because the valve is contained and is anchored inside of this blood vessel called the aorta. And the blood vessel, for whatever reason, most likely genetic, is stretched out, is dilated to a significant degree.
Okay.
Because the valve is anchored inside this blood vessel, the stretching of the blood vessels sort of pulls apart the valve. And so the components of the valve are being pulled away instead of coming together.
Okay.
And so the blood can leak back because the valve is stretched out.
So I'm not crazy.
About?
This, I just